Hey guys, this will be video 11 for the how to restore a 1981 Gibson E2 CMT for curly maple top Explorer. And it's been about a week since I've done a video, and right after I did the last video, the guitar, I had not done any tobacco burst yet, but it's kind of funny. I was presenting that video just for the client to see the guitar as it was coming together in stages, but always in the back of my mind thinking there's a very strong likelihood we're probably just going to take it back 100% original to the tobacco burst, which right now I'm about 60% finished with the tobacco burst, and I've still got a little bit more, just more burst work to do. But for the most part, it's pretty close, and it's really well defined as far as what it is I'm trying to pull off. And the reason we went ahead and decided to go ahead and do the tobacco is because when the client reached out to me months ago when I was working on his 69 SG, he mentioned that he had this neck and it was from a 1981 Explorer E2, and I remember thinking that I didn't know that this guitar existed. I'm not going to go into this too deep, but I thought it was the one with the funky, weird profile body, and I remember thinking, and maybe I'll be able to talk him into letting me just do a traditional body guitar, and we'll put that neck on that. But sure enough, I found out that this guitar existed. I had never seen this before, had no idea this existed. And if you're interested in what this guitar is supposed to look like, well, it's getting really close to what it's supposed to look like right now. But you could visit, go online to, and just do a search, 1981 Gibson E2 CMT Explorer on a website called Diablo Amps. And some of the best pictures I've ever seen, and we really used them to our advantage, or I used them so that I could see what it is that the client actually even wanted to build. But the reason I did video 10 with the guitar unfinished, and I even clarified in that video, it would have been so easy for me to just, after I got the honey amber beginning to come alive where I wanted to just go ahead and start shooting the tobacco, but the client would have never seen the potential to do the guitar, without the tobacco. And but I always kind of felt in the back of my mind, even though I like certain things like that, and kind of like a player's guitar, I always kind of felt like that, we probably would go ahead and do the tobacco. But even before I presented it to Eric, I took that one of those pictures from Diablo Amps, and I obviously pulled it up on my phone. And then the way my phone is, I can play a video in the background, and I played the video of me showing this actual guitar with just the amber top in the background with this the 1981 Diablo amp guitar on the screen, and my guitar looked really unfinished. It was cool, it was pretty, and it was attractive, but when you really compared it to what this T6 TP6 bridge and tailpiece and all this jazz is supposed to go on, I was very much an unfinished guitar, and unfortunately it's still unfinished because I haven't finished uh, the tobacco burst. But we're getting there. So with that said, that's part of the reason why that I took the route that I decided to do. So with this video, all I want to, and I really didn't want to do a video, but I felt like since it's been over a week since Eric has seen the guitar, and I haven't spoken to him, I think, since then. I don't know if I have, then I forgot. But neither here nor there. I'm going to mock it up again, and I'm going to mock it up with the black ring and the gold ring, Eric. Even though I know you told me, oh no, I'm cool with the. Definitely want to go with the pick guard, and I definitely like the black pickup ring. Well, now that we've shot the tobacco, let's do the mock up one more time just to make certain that we're truly building the guitar that we want to build. And I've already mocked it up, and I'll shoot really straight with you. It looks unfinished without the pick guard on it. That's my personal opinion. But however, and also I won't spend too much time talking about this, but it's really amazing when I started mocking it up with just the traditional black pickup rings, and I actually I'll show it. I don't want to spend too much time showing it, but as soon as I did that, it reminded me of a guitar that I had when I was a kid back in the early '90s. It was a Tobacco Burst Super Strat by a company called Hammer, and well, everybody knows Hammer guitars, and it had a Floyd Rose on it. And it's amazing how quickly I saw that same guitar right up to the point until I put the Explorer pickguard on it. And Eric and I are already on the same page, but and I'm gonna physically mock this up because I've got some fresh tape on here. But I think Eric and I have always been on the same page about, hey, let's take this guitar back to original, but as along the way, every now and then, let's stop and just kind of talk about our options and whatnot. And do we want to go ahead and just really, dress it up, a full dresser, or do you want to strip it down for the summer ride? So, and I like the idea of taking it full dresser. So let's go ahead and do just that. Let me think. How do I want to do this? Yeah, let me pause, and I got to get some additional tape so that I can tape these rings on because I want Eric to see it without the pick guard, just so that we can put that to rest. But and then whether it has, and then with the pick guard, and then the gold ring alone, and then the gold ring around the actual black pick guard. So let me pause and get these taped in, and I'll be right back. Tell you what, I'm just going to do this in real time because this will allow me to talk about stuff off the top of my head. And, in other words, some of our reasoning, because if I pause too long, I'll kind of forget about what it was I even had presented. And so, Eric, once I shot Eric or he saw the video, he sent me a message. He's like, oh man, now I'm kind of torn. But I had already seen the video against the backdrop of the picture, and all that jazz of that guitar, what I've already covered. I won't cover that again. But I had already made the decision. I was going to let him know, yeah, man, I really spoke out of turn when I did that video about, oh, wow, man, this is really awesome. Let's really consider doing this. Once I saw my video up against the actual Gibson guitar, I realized, oh no, this is a given. We definitely need to remain traditional. And but Eric had sent me a text, but it was really cool. Even in the text, he was like, "Oh wow, now I'm not really sure." It wasn't any of this. Oh my God, absolutely, man. Let's definitely do that. I love that. I don't, truth be known, I never liked the tobacco anyway. It was none of that type stuff in his text, and I just let him know very quickly that I had already made the decision. I felt like, I think it was a mistake to, well, it wasn't a mistake. It was just that, hell, we're building a guitar here, and I wanted him to have those options. And sure enough, we both. I think we were. He was kind of hesitant about, in a real nice way. He was saying, "Well, I'm kind of torn. I'm not really sure now," but I definitely could hear in his voice that he was definitely curious to see it with the tobacco. But I had already kind of come to the conclusion that, yeah, man, we need to stick to our original plan. And I say our plan. It was Eric's original plan to do a tobacco burst guitar. And however, look at it as we progress. Check the camera. Beautiful, really beautiful. I'll just do a quick flyby. And this, what, effing halogen light. I'm not going to complain, but it just what I see on camera, because I've already done several test videos. This guitar is much more attractive uh, in real life than it is on this piece of what halogen light camera. And I don't have a clue about how to go about setting up a true video format to do these videos, but man, I mean, it's beautiful. But I'll just sit this up here briefly so we can, but I won't go ahead and try to tape it in, but just yet. But man, that just really defines it. Okay. So, but what I was going to say is, even in our text communications and stuff, I had already made the statement that I had already made the decision, excuse me, that if Eric was, unless he was just really head over heels for just the amber top, I was going to try to talk him into just going ahead and doing the tobacco. This is hard to do unless you're just really hovering over it. Very cool, very classy. As I've said in video 10, not my first choice, but it definitely would not be a mistake, especially if you were going to just do the tobacco burst without a pickguard. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. All right, so with this one, I'll go ahead. The reason I did it the way I did, let me just stop trying to explain myself. Let me pause and so I can I'll just pull this thing over here off the table because I have to look straight down on it. Otherwise, I'll get it crooked and it'll be kind of goofy. Yeah, this is just not the most attractive, but it's not bad. But the cool thing about that old banged up, beat up pickguard, man, it just so finishes the guitar. It just really ties it together so beautifully. And even with the gold rings, which, as I've mentioned, would not be my first choice, looks really good. It's really good. Okay, what I was going to say is I'll have to reposition this. I think we'll spend more time talking about the guitar with the black rings in place and the pickguard in place than with the guitar with nothing atop it. Because I need to see this in the video as well, because it's helping me kind of game plan my final burst work and how much I tint the colors and what I do to them, because I want to see what it looks like in real life, as well as I want to see what it looks like on camera as well. So I'm going to get those off the table so I don't really see them. Yeah, definitely let me pause briefly. Okay, it took a little bit longer than I thought it would take to put it together. I'll do this first because that's kind of what I've been showing on all the past ones. Oh, crap. What's really strange is on camera, it shows that this is much darker than it is right here, but this is identical to the picture that I saw on Diablo amps, where it's pretty much blacked out from the tip of my finger out to the edge or tobaccoed out, but then it starts fading out, and it's translucent up to about that point right there. You can still see the flame up to about that point right there, all the way around the guitar. So, and it's just, I can't help what the camera does or does not do. But, this is definitely my favorite. And what is this? It's the original guitar. It's just really, really beautiful. Love the old banged up pickguard. That's so cool. And put the zebras in there, man. She'll come alive. So, with that said, and what I'm going to do in the rest of this video, I'm about to break it back down, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the sand prep work, because I don't think I talked about that at all in the beginning of this video, because I did this video. I think this is the third time I've done the video. The first time, it was a good video, and I talked about the sanding and all that jazz, but I killed the video. I got too long-winded. So with that said, I'm actually going to strip her down, and I've got my lacquer, my honey amber nitrocellulose lacquer on the warming station over here, and I'm going to pause the camera, and I'm going to shoot some honey amber and show you kind of my thought process as to how, this is what I covered in video one that was a really good part of that video that got deleted, but I'm going to show you my thought process about how I connect the center of a jazz guitar to the outer perimeter. And I'm really just kind of repeating what I heard Robert Benedetto talking about in his video series and whatnot. So I'll try to make that as interesting as possible, and hopefully in real time, we will, because it's only like 17 or 18 minutes right now. In real time, we'll see the guitar kind of come alive a little bit, and then I'll still do a video later on, giving Eric the option to either do the matte finish, or either, which I don't want to do, just the matte finish, or at this point, take it up to about 1200 to 1600 grit wet sanded, but then rather than trying to buff it to look like a brand new Chevrolet, just hand wax it so that it just takes on a really beautiful, like a vintage glow. But right now, that's what I meant by, I think I said it in this, I know I said it in one of the videos that probably got deleted. Yeah, this is sanded with 400 grit sandpaper, and no buffing, no wet sanding, nothing. Just literally, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more once I get her stripped down, but just hand sanded, and the flame on that maple is just relentless. So if it's that relentless in a matte finish, where I'm going this, Eric, this gives us a great opportunity now for me to possibly, let me hold that bridge because I know it'll try to fall off. Now to do a little bit more matte work on this neck, and then I'll still do some, I got a wonderful finish on here, and gosh, it's like, it's weeks, it's about a month old. It's just awesome for doing wet sanding up to about 2000. I'm just going to say 2000 grit, and then make the determination of how much glow we bring out of it. But all the guitars I build, if I'm trying to match to a vintage neck, I say let's not make it look like a library cabinet system. Let's make it look like a vintage guitar. And how we achieve that: sand it matte finish up to 2000 grit wet, then hand wax it, and it'll be beautiful. I think that'd be really pretty. And then on the front, we'll determine just how close to vintage we take it. And the cool thing is, that's about as damn vintage as you can get right there. Just sand it down to with 400 grit sandpaper, and it's as beautiful as that right there. Just depends on what Eric wants. If he wants it to look like a player's guitar from that's 50 years old,
then rather than doing it with a 400 grit, we'll do it up to 2000 grit, and you might be surprised that that's the guitar. And what's amazing, the nitro cellulose lacquer, just the oils in your hand, you can just start. And I mean, you don't have to put anything on it; just the oils in your hand, and you can just sit here until you feel the lacquer start warming up a little bit, and you literally can do like a French polished, hand buffed finish on the guitar. I can see it right now. It's coming alive right now. It's crazy. That's what's incredible about the nitrocellulose lacquer out of the can. I don't expect it to be a major change just then, but but that's what's awesome about using the nitrocellulose lacquer out of the can and then letting it dry for a good 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. Then you're not worried about having difficulties with your finish. So I guess I'll just let me check the time. Yeah, it's only 20 minutes. I'll just take it apart in real time. Oh, I forgot to put the knobs on there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Eric, that there's something weird going on with these splines. And this is a little star tool, that would go in a screwdriver. But I'm telling you, it's not being forced in there at all. I've got tape around it, and it's not distorting those. But they're not marrying up to my CTS potentiometers. And the guy that I buy my CTS potentiometers from, they got just a flawless shipping system. I'm kind of jinxing it, but long story short, I'm pretty certain that something happened. These are most likely metric. They're high quality, but I'm almost 100%. Oh yeah, I am 100% certain because I went upstairs and I pulled and I think these might be metric, but I pulled some off of my 59 Les Paul replica and I put them on here and they were awesome. So with that said, still to be determined, but let me get the knobs on there. It's kind of loose. It'll probably fall out. Oh, shit. No. Wrong one. Okay, now there's the guitar. And I don't see any point in mocking it back up with the gold rings with and without the pickguard. So now let's see what the guitar looks like. And I apologize for not catching that because makes a big difference. And this is what I meant by the cool thing about the pickguard, man. It tames this enormous footprint of the Explorer. And then even those speed knobs, they helped tame that area back there so that it just, it's just really, really beautiful. And what's so cool is I've studied the pictures on Diablo Amp's website so much that now what I'm looking at here looks very similar to that. I've still got burst work to do, as I've already clarified, but nonetheless, I know that we're getting really close to the finish line with this guitar right here. And I'll try to get a little bit closer to the camera, maybe get a screenshot. And it's kind of frustrating with that halogen light. It sometimes you'll turn in the light and it makes it look really cheap. But there's nothing I can do about that. Okay. All right, now let's see. Is it time to take it apart? Let me. I made. I'm trying to do something for a screenshot. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh man,
blew a whole bunch of dust. Yeah. Okay. Now, so that will most likely end up being a screenshot. And I still have not installed the Shaler. See, this will be the Shaler bridge studs, and that would be period correct for the 1981. So I think they call that the Tune-O-Matic. But I love the traditional studs per the ABR1 specs, but he's got a very, very high quality Shaler bridge that he sent, and you definitely want that. You want that look right there. So that'll be really, really classy, and it'll be in keeping with the 1981 specifications. I think I clarified that Eric and I were both pretty much on the same page that as far as going ahead and doing the burst work, because I could hear the hesitancy in his voice of like, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of torn, but I think I've already clarified that I had already made the decision. I was going to try to talk him into just let me go ahead and do the tobacco, even if he liked the honey amber. If he had been really adamant about the honey amber, I would have said, okay, that's cool. We'll do that, but let me take it much darker and age it, and all that jazz, and really make it look like the Peter Green top. And the guitar that I presented in video 10, where I was calling it like the Peter Green replica, that was really out of place because the colors that were being shown on camera, that's not the Peter Green. Gary Moore, Kirk Hammett, 1959. Greenie. I kept forgetting. That's what they call it. They called that guitar the Greenie. I guess for Peter Green. So with that said, it's cool to see them come apart, and also you can see how that pickguard is still taming the top, even with all the hardware removed from it. And as Eric and I both discussed numerous times, well, the fact that we built this whole guitar around this pickguard, let's definitely take advantage of that. Okay, so let's prep to do a little bit of nitrocellulose. First work, 400 grit, fresh, dated 10/19/25. I did some of the initial sand work with, it wasn't worn out, but it was definitely getting used. And I noticed it was amazing how quickly it came alive. And I got to be careful. I don't need to sand this much because I've already sanded it enough to do this additional nitro work. So all I'm going to do is discuss kind of what it was that I did. But rather than doing circular sanding, I stayed straight. And most of the last lacquer work that I did, well, actually, that's exactly what it was. All the lacquer work that I did was just in this area right here, where I was kind of connecting this several days worth of spray work on the burst. Well, probably several. It's probably two afternoons worth of burst work, connecting that to the center of the guitar. So there's no sense in sanding out here much other than just to get it leveled down, which I've already done that. And then I don't want to sand too much out here because I don't want to run the risk of thinning out my dark tobacco. And one thing you can do when you're shooting that area up there is I dropped not a drop of black, but I've got some, well, I don't have to show it. I've just got some black nitrocellulose lacquer in a little canister. I just poured a very, very small, like it would be the equivalent of probably a tenth of a teaspoonful of the black in there, just enough to kind of hit the lacquer bottom, and kind of made that a little more smoothie. But I only sprayed that right there and around the neck. The rest of this is just the tobacco, so it's kind of almost blacked out up here. I gotta stop sanding that because I've already kind of sanded it in preparation for this video. So if you're not careful, that's what I meant by see how much I'm taking off with this new sandpaper. Whew, and you'll lose control really fast, and I'm not putting any pressure at all. So a little bit on that because I want to make certain it's level. Because once I start doing this this final clear, I'm considering this like the finish coats, even though it'll be tinted. Again, my objective here is to just darken the honey and make certain I don't get any water. And this is my Peter Green mix, and you might look at that and go, "Good God, man, that's like black." No, it's really deceptive because all I can say is when I hold it into the light, I'm looking through it. You might be able to see it as well, but it looks like really dark tea. And that might be where Gibson came up with the lemon tea or whatever. When they were talking about doing the lemon tea top, they were probably like shocked how dark their honey amber nitrocellulose lacquer ended up having to be in order to achieve that really beautiful vintage amber look. It's like it's black. I can't even see through it right there, but I can assure you once you spray it, be careful once or twice. It's definitely very potent. It happens very quickly, but when you're at this point, you don't want to have to spray 7 or 8 coats to try to achieve what it is you're achieving, because you'll start screwing up the mill thicknesses. I want to be able to start reaching my target fairly quickly, and if in the event it was just a little bit too dark, well, that's cool. Just come in, let it dry for about an hour, and then just kind of encourage it to lighten up a little bit, and then maybe pour some lacquer thinner in there, just kind of thin it out a little bit. And I can just usually kind of tell by the consistency that should be perfect as far as spraying, and should be really cool. Again, to cover it once again, I'm only darkening out the honey a little bit, and I might fade into this just a little, but I'm not spraying the whole top because I love the actual color that I have on the guitar. Let's see if that's in. Yeah, see, I love everything about this color, and quite frankly, it really only needs just one more spray coat. And that's really what prompted me doing this video, because I was getting to that point to where, oh my God, yeah, this is the guitar. I can see it. And now I can relax and just do a video, because I know as long as I don't try to do too many coats, well, actually, as long as I don't do more than just one coat, there's no way I could lose the guitar. So, because I'm so close to the finish line as to ending up with a guitar that looks like the guitar on Diablo amps. So let me pause and spray this, and I literally will be back within about 5 minutes, and it'll be wet and glossy, but only in that one location. Okay, that was about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And I wish I could have turned the camera on quicker, because when it was wet, it was really beautiful. And also it was showing the translucence much better. And I have no idea if that's showing on the camera as far as the translucence, but it may be. It's a little bit, I didn't spray it very thick. It was a real fine mist, and a little bit of orange peel, but no big deal, because with the 400, once it's dry, and you could actually sand this within about an hour, and enough to shoot another coat. And the same thing applies when you're doing your burst work. Just try to do no more than 3 to 4 coats, maybe 5 coats if you're spraying really thin, the way I'm spraying right there. But if you were putting some weight, if you were putting some mill thickness there, don't do more than 3 to 4 coats a day, 4 max. But fortunately, it's the fall, and beautiful, crisp, cool weather already. Doesn't really matter because I keep it ice cold in my basement shop. But yeah, that looks a little bit better. So, but still, and don't do this stuff outside, because even if it's really beautiful weather, you'll run the risk of having the blush. And man, that's a pain in the ass if you get any sort of blushing of your lacquer. And what blushing is you tried to spray too many coats, and it's not drying, and then it just has this waxy film that'll raise to the surface, and you have to let it dry, and then you have to wash that waxy film off with like a kind of like a real fine Brillo pad with Comet and soap and water. And in other words, you have to do a pretty serious wash job to get it back to clean, because you'll never achieve a beautiful finish if you keep pushing it. And it's better to just take your time and do 3 coats a day, and that way you don't have to worry. And thin, very, very thin, and that way you don't have to worry about a blushing. So I'm gonna pause and let it sit for a second. I was a little bit too thin down here on the bottom. I may spray just a little bit more down here, because I'm definitely not going to spray anymore tonight after that if I do one more coat. Because if I'm not mistaken, what have I done today? I don't think I've even done 2 coats today, and one was this morning, and then because it's fairly late in the afternoon right now, and then one was probably 4 or 5 hours later. Yeah, and then I think that's when it prompted me. I think I'll do a video, so I got the basement cleaned up a little bit so we could talk about this stuff. So I've literally been spraying like every 4 to 5 hours. So let me pause and get the table organized a little bit, and I'll look at potentiometers, because we'll grab these pickups over here, because I got some questions for you, Eric, about moving forward with the unique push-pull wiring. And so let me just stop and I'll pause, and then I'll talk about that stuff because I've got some questions about that. Okay, I paused for about 15 minutes and let it dry, and I didn't sand it or anything, but I shot, or I actually put some lacquer thinner in there and thinned this fairly wet, and that's the color. Okay, so you can see it's kind of like a T. Looks like a mild T, but then once it's on the cloth, it's definitely the vintage amber. But how I achieved that was with the vintage amber, and then probably I don't know, 10 or 12 drops per a full canister. But then I dropped 2 or 3 drops of red mahogany, and that red mahogany really gets it out of the yellow family. So with that said, I just wanted you to see that color once it's wet. And then what I did, I went ahead and shot the perimeter. Went ahead and just shot the entire outer perimeter, and just a little bit more here in the middle. Got a little bit heavier right there because why? I want to finish the guitar, and I want to see it come together. And hopefully, I still stayed kind of gentle down here. I didn't get too wet right there. But and if anything, what I'll do is now come in, not tonight, but tomorrow, with some quad alt steel wool, and I will, let me just get that away from it because this is still wet, but I'll kind of balance everything out right now because you can see kind of the honey, the lemon, it goes to the honey lemon, and then the red mahogany, once it starts going over into the tobacco, gets a little bit, it just makes a beautiful transition of actual being a burst. And it's still not finished, but it's getting pretty close. And I don't know what you guys see on camera, have no idea what the halogen light's doing, but I could basically, what I have right here is let this dry and then seal it with about 3 really nice coats of the they changed the can, but this is still the M113 1406, I believe is what it's called. This is the Mohawk, which used to be called Baleen's stringed instrument lacquer aerosol. Spray 3 to 5 coats on that and seal it, which that's what the back is from weeks ago. That's sprayed with this stuff right here, and that's got that beautiful shell. So I say that to say this: what I see on the table here is so close to the Diablo amps pictures that I wouldn't even have to call the client. I could just spray three to four coats of sealer coat on that top, and not even send him pictures, and box up the guitar and ship it to him, and I'm sure he'd be happy with it. Because what I'm holding my hands here, I'm just really happy with it. Again, I don't know what it's doing on the camera, and I don't mean to keep bringing that up. Excuse me, but there have been times when I'll look at some of the videos, and it's like, good God, the back looks Bombay red, and it's not. It's not Bombay red. It's tobacco. So now it's over mahogany, which you can see the red hue in there, but nonetheless, what's that? 43 minutes. Let me look at it in the camera here. Yeah, you can see how it's a little bit darker down there. So, and it's a little bit darker up here. But man, once that pick guard goes, it's a little bit still, it's still a little bit light right in here, but it won't need much. It's very, very close to being finished. As far as, I'm not sure where that light's. Oh, that's probably just coming from my overhead lights over there. Sorry. This will help me when I watch this video. This will help me determine what the guitar is doing as it's turning in the light. And but nonetheless, it's pretty close. Still got a little bit more to do, but I think you could pretty much walk out on the stage with two guitars from a 1981 Tobacco, etc., etc., and I don't think anyone would be able to tell that this was not an original Gibson. Okay, let me pause, and then we're going to talk about potentiometers. Okay, let's dive back in, and let me just do the best I can to wing it on the rest of this video. In case you're not familiar, these are some of the rarest pickups I have ever seen. They are they have dual leads, and one lead is they're fairly high pickup. They are ceramic magnets, and they might be the Tim Shaw era. I don't know. I think, well, it's irrelevant because there's a bit of a dilemma that I'm running into as far as the wiring schematics that you had talked about, Eric. And just hear me out, and I'm just going to reveal my lack of knowledge, but also I've spent last night several hours online, and I found a guy that's really incredible out of the UK that's doing push-pull wiring harnesses. And I watched every video that he had discussing how to wire the push-pull. But just hear me out for a second, Eric. I know we're definitely going to go with these pickups. And one of these leads is basically just the pickup in series, which that's just your traditional pickup. I'm not going to start discussing the north-south start or finish and all that jazz because that's irrelevant. Because the dilemma that always was kind of in the back of my mind was, okay, now if I'm working with if I'm working with a standard pickup that has 4 conductor wires, I know, and whether it's a Seymour or a Gibson, DiMarzio, I know how to trace those schematics and determine exactly what is what. I've never seen this before, and this oddball design, not knocking it because it's brilliant. I think it's incredible. But one of these is just the traditional pickup in series, and if you wanted to, you could just leave this wire unconnected and just run it like a traditional pickup. But obviously, that was another part of the design build. Was Eric was wanting to take advantage of this whole incredibly rare wiring and do something with it, but not with a double pole double throw switch. He wanted to go with the push pull, and I completely understand the function of the common and the 2 and the 4 and the 1 and the 3, etc., etc. Completely understand that, and went online long enough to determine how to identify the new CTS push pull as well as the Borns. But my supplier, if he supplies the Borns pickup, he only has it in metric. Now that would work possibly if these are metric, but I don't want that to dictate where I'm doing this partial CTS wiring harness and partial Borns. I really want to go with the CTS push pull, and it's really incredible because it has like a circuit board on it that is just from a wiring standpoint, I love it. It's really brilliant. A little bit of a dilemma. I always build my guitars real thick in the top. They're 7/16 of an inch thick. So I go with a 3/4 inch tall shaft, a long shaft, and then I still have plenty of room in that cavity to do all of my work. However, with the CTS, with the push pull configuration, it's like 2 millimeter too tall for my cavity. So I'm going to be forced to drop down to the 3/8 inch shaft. And here's where the dilemma kicks in. Uh, and I'm talking to you kind of specific directly, Eric. You had mentioned how you do the traditional potential volume for the neck, the traditional volume potentiometer for the bridge, and then one of these wires, if that's the neck and that's the bridge, then one of these wires just gets wired traditional, just like that. That's a walk in the park. It would be wired just like that, but then you've got this additional wire left over. Here's where I'm getting really confused. You mentioned how all you got to do is run both of these wires, these spare wires, to the tone potentiometer that is a push pull. And I guess when you pull up, you would engage these two wires. But now I'm confused because I'm thinking, I get it, I completely understand that if you're running like the four conductor where you have two tones. But if we're doing this, if these pickups were designed to be used in a four control, two volume, two tones, then the only way it would work, and you may already know this, that these two spare wires have got to go together, I think, into that single potentiometer push pull, and therefore it's activated. But I got to thinking, I thought, is that even going to work? And then the next question would be, are you certain? And maybe I misunderstood you. Maybe you meant, oh, no, 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 I meant two push pulls in the volume. In other words, two push pulls in the volume, and then one of these wires goes to the coil split in the push pull for the neck volume, and then the bridge volume, and then just the traditional tone. But I'm almost certain that you had mentioned to me that, oh no, you go straight to the tone, and I could see that making sense if you had the individual tone for each pickup. So I'm still struggling with that a little bit, but the reason I'm bringing it up right now, when I ordered the potentiometer set for your guitar, if you meant that you wanted two push pulls at the volume, well, then I'm going to have to order them in the short shaft, and I'm going to have to remachine the thickness of those locations thinner, so it will, obviously, so that it'll actually work. Otherwise, it won't work. But I don't want to start. I don't want to just machine out the entire surface in there, because if these two are going to remain traditional potentiometers, I want to go with the long shaft, the brass, the CTS, the 525K ohm, and then that's a kick-ass setup up there. If there's some strange, unique design wiring diagram out there that exists, I can't find it for doing two pickups into one tone potentiometer that is a push pull. That if I pull up on that potentiometer, it now engages these two split coils. But then does that mean that then now you've got like a guitar with like four pickups, two traditional series pickups, and then also stealing the split coil and run it. So it's just really, really confusing, especially just going into one potentiometer, whether it's a tone or a volume or like a master volume. So just if you can, Eric, and I'm going to send you a link to this guy's website. He's got some incredible YouTube videos where he goes into just incredibly cool detail about understanding how to wire the push pull CTS, the modern potentiometer, and they are 500K. So I don't think they would have the 525K because I know my supplier didn't show the 525. But just make certain that you clarify that to me, because before I start machining out your body to receive, as I just said, 2 3/4 shaft or either 2 3/8 inch shaft, and then if I remain with a traditional tone, then I want to leave that as a long shaft potentiometer. But to recap, what's confusing me is these are single conductor. There's just the ground and then the lead wire. So it'd be different if they were 4 conductor. I think it would be easier to ask the pros out there, how in the hell do we wire this thing? But what's confusing to me is, well, just kind of what I said. So we're not there yet, but I don't want to just start buying a whole bunch of additional potentiometers and then start guessing at it. I want to have a real crystal clear, uh, um, design plan. And if that's based on a certain schematics, then that's awesome. But just make certain that we're on the same page. That these pickups might have always intentionally been, or might have always been intended to be in a Les Paul type guitar, or at least at a minimum a guitar. Well, you showed me it was that 335 type design, which was like a solid chamber body, but I can't remember if it only had. It probably had. If it's a 335 design, it would have had the 4 knobs rather than just the 3. So just make certain that this even can be done with a single tone potentiometer, Eric, and then we'll go from there. But otherwise, I didn't want to start presenting that last week because I wasn't ready to do the wiring yet, and but I'm getting very close to it now, and it'll only take a few days to get the potentiometers in. But when I buy the potentiometer kit, let me check the time before it cuts me off. Yeah, it's still 56 minutes. When I buy that kit, I like to buy it in a large complete kit, even though it's in component form, rather than buying I may have no choice, like 3 potentiometers here and 2 potentiometers here. I want to try to buy exactly what it is I need for this guitar, as well as for Ed's, once we get ready to start doing Ed's guitar, which this is really cool. I'll show it since it's not too terribly long. And Ed, it's cool to get to talk to you the other day. I'm still not certain about this body. I got a feeling that we're probably not going to go with it, but you and I have already talked about that. But from a standpoint of design and layout, as we discussed when we were talking, I can't believe I haven't seen that before because it's really brilliant. I mean, it's so cool, and it works. It works. We'll take advantage of. That's roughly where the tailpiece would be. So you can kind of see just and the bridge location is right there, but you can see how the bridge volume, the neck volume, the bridge tone, well, just all 4, they're just really perfectly located, and nothing's clustered at all. But there's a lot of space down here. It's just I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Love it. So still, doubtful that we'll go with this body. I haven't clear coated it yet to see what's going on, but I have wet it several times, and I'm not very happy with what I see. I see too much transition, and I know you probably see it right there where it's dry. So anyway, but I got to do some practice on building that body, and if anything, I can always sell that as a paint grade or either a real dark, well, kind of like this, where we went tobacco, man. Okay, so I hope I didn't sound like an idiot talking about that, but it's just these are so strange that I cannot find any online information about these other than just some of the general pictures that you sent me. And the one picture that you sent me of the 335 that was for sale that had these in it with the cover on it, I couldn't make anything out because if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty certain it was like the 4 control layout, which is a completely different animal compared to the Flying V or the
the Explorer, maybe a few others that are the 3 in line. Did I say Flying V? Yeah, Flying V, the Explorer. Because the SG, I know it's the 4 controls, but it's smaller. And that would be it. So if you've got any insight into that, please let me know, Eric, because this is one of those things that before I connect either ground or whatever. And what's so funny, I know it's going to be as simple as all it is this extra lead goes to C1 or C2 or or 4 or 1 or 3 or something like that, and it'll be as simple as, okay, well then just solder it and then you pull it up and it's activated. But again, let me know if that makes sense where I'm getting confused. I feel like I'm holding 4 pickups here is kind of what it feels like. But the question is, once you engage the split coil through a tone knob outside of the volume knob, individual volume knobs, how is it that it deactivates the series side of the 2 pickups? Does that make sense? And especially when it's all just going, you got 2 wires that are going to 1 tone knob. That seems like the wiring design is way too complex for it to be simply controlled by 1 terminal in 1 location. Or it may be that the neck connects on 1 side and the bridge connects on the other. And then when you go into the toggle, which is the pull up, then it activates. So help me out there, man. Throw me a bone and to give me some encouragement to stay on point there and not have to do this video again. So let me check the time. And we're over an hour. I was hoping I could keep it under an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and just end the video right there before it cuts me off. But beautiful guitar, and you can see it warming up just after 1 application of that nitrocellulose. So a little bit more over here, and I think we'll be getting really close to a finished guitar. Some clear coat and a couple of boards and some screws and some strings, and it should be ready to rock and roll. So appreciate you guys dropping in, and Ed, we'll get back on point with your guitar pretty soon, and we'll go from there. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.